After 2 weeks stuck in Charleville, while I replaced my turbocharger and tracked down an oil leak caused by a blocked crankcase breather, it was great to be back on the open road. I consider myself lucky. The problems occurred on the way to Charleville. At least there I had a post office to receive the new parts shipped in from Western Australia and the UK. Initially I planned to head south from Charleville into more remote country, but now, to ensure my repairs have fixed the problem, I've decided to head west along 8 of our road to visit a couple national parks as a test run before I resume my original plan. I'm in Mariala National Park, which is a small park about 130 kilometres west of Charleville in central Queensland. I was on my way out to visit Hellhole Gorge National Park, and this is on the way, so I thought I'd stop 3 nights here and to explore. I'm heading into the deepest campsite, which is at Rockpools camping area, another 21 kilometres to go down this easement, which mostly follows a fence line. So let's head on in and see what the park's like. The park was once part of the Amberthala pastoral holding, used for grazing sheep and cattle from 1875. In the early 1900s, horses were also bred here for Cobb & Co. stagecoaches. Mariala protects part of Queensland's Mulga community, a type of hardy acacia. It became a protected scientific reserve in the early 1980s, later converting to national park status in 1992. Some of the infrastructure from its pastoral days still remains in ruins. The Southern Cross Windmill stands as a testament to the early pastoralists' ingenuity, once pumping artesian water from deep underground to the surface, making these arid lands productive. Now seized and the bore capped, it watches over the empty holding tank and water trough. A portable steam engine rusts year by year, gradually being reclaimed by the earth. Other remnants scatter the surrounds. It's pretty obvious from the surrounding area that the cattlemen who used to work out here back in the day loved their drinks, their smokes, and probably tinned beef. There's all kinds of old cans lying around and a few bottles. Here's the old beer fridge. Looks like an old Kelvinator. Seen better days. Ring tabs, a little before my time. This here looks like an old donkey boiler. Looks like it has a inlet and the boils on the ground there and comes out hot water on the other end. May have been a luxury on the odd occasion.
Mariala is over 27,300 hectares in size, so there's plenty to explore if you wish to head off with a compass and map.
Well, the sun is setting on my first evening here. The flies started to get a bit much just after I pulled up and started looking for a camp. But it's very quiet here. There's virtually no wildlife, only one bird I heard. There's very little water of any sort that I can see around thus far. So it sounds like it will be a very still night. I can already feel the cold coming on, so I'll get this jacket on and get my dinner on early, and then I can be into bed before the cold sweeps through. It's my first night here, so it's a very simple meal, just snags on bread with some mushrooms and cheese. And of course you've got to have some sauce on top for some flavour. Might try something a bit more fancy tomorrow night. So I didn't make it to the Rockpools yesterday. It got a bit too late, so I stayed here at the number 3 Bore camping area. But I'm all packed up now, and I'll finish the last 10 kilometres to Rockpools and set up my new camp. It was a very peaceful night last night, very still, not much wind. As soon as the sun went down, the flies disappeared. But a beautiful spot just to stay in total silence. This is the Escarpment Day Use Area. There's not too much up here except a table, but it gives you a view of some of the surrounding landscape. And all the old rock here that's gradually collapsing from the cliff face. I was just exploring some of this escarpment country, and where there's lots of rock you may find little water holes, and I just found one with some water in it still. Where everything else around is very dry. You can see around here fresh scats and tracks from wallabies, so they know where to find the water. Looks like some old bushman's work here. Old star pickets made into a frame, the wire, a bit of a rough concrete slab and some old metal shelving. And in typical country style, a few old bullet holes as well. So who knows what this was for? Maybe it was a bit of a shower or something. They can hang up something in the middle here and have some privacy over these old boards, and a hard slab so they don't get their feet all muddy again or dirty from the dust.
The area around here is so harsh, with almost no understory or grasses, just rock and fine dust-like soil. So this is the Rockpools camping area. You have to be completely self-sufficient. There's no utilities, no facilities at all. So it's just two little spots here where you can pull in a car and set up camp. Now you have to book in advance before you get here online to get your camping permit from the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service website. If you want to get away from virtually everything, then this is one spot you could come, which isn't too far from Charleville. So this is Rockpools. It's part of a fairly rocky creek system, so a lot of water can sink into little sinkholes like this. And you can see here two diggings where the local wallabies and other wildlife have come to dig out the moisture. If I put my hand down there, it's still quite damp. If I dug a bit, I'd probably get some water out of it. It's probably a rock bottom, and all this silt and sand and rock has just filled it up over time. But you can see my friend here, this wallaby, didn't make it. It's pretty dry out here still, and judging from the other remains, it hasn't had a good wash down through this area for some time. But there's also some little freshwater mussels, so they must be a native in the area. They're probably still down deep in the lower sandy area, so they might come back out when it rains the next time. But yeah, a few more bones here, and a bit of a petrified wallaby up there. But if you know where to look, you can find little water bits like this. Dig it out and get yourself a cup of water. You can see the moisture down in here. Different colour. Dig that out enough with a shovel, you should be able to get some water out. The old Jats tomato, cheese and tuna meal with a bit of fancy spring onion. Just sitting under a tarp hung off the back. Very simple out here, nothing too flash. It's impressive how tough some of the trees are out here. Just look at this one, just it won't die, just will not let go. Almost everything else is eaten away, but the slightest bit of living tissue keeps it going. I've been for a walk around the surrounding area from the campsite, and I can find absolutely nothing. There's very little wildlife. It's just lots of bones, skeletons, skulls. It seems anything that was in the area has since moved on. It's just too dry. There's almost nothing. Like, I get the occasional tweet of a bird maybe once an hour. Other than flies, there's nothing. I did see a few butterflies way up in the canopy, but no lizards.
Night times are deadly still. There's no crickets. The thing I did hear though are planes. It appears to be under a flight path, so it's not exactly away from it all as I thought it was. The farmers are doing it tough out this way, but I think the native wildlife are doing it a lot tougher. They can't just turn on a bore when they need more water. So I think if I got stuck out here, I'd give myself 2 or 3 days before I'm dead, I'd say. I think even my chances of finding sufficient water around here are pretty slim. So I don't want to go too far from my car. Stay nice and safe, close to my supply. I'll back to camp and enjoy the rest of the afternoon reading. Well, I may have spoken a little too soon. I was just walking back and I saw this big old tree with a lot of hollows up top. I was just taking a look around just to see in case there was any signs of bees or wasps, other flying insects going down into it, because there could have been a water source up in there. But down below is this big old hollow, and looked inside and there's an echidna. So not completely dead out here. He's buried himself in, so I'd say he doesn't have much to do at this point in time during the day, but he might come out at night looking for some ants. It's my final night, so it's time to cook up something special. This mince I'm carrying, it will be expiring next, so that gets cooked now. So it will be tacos on tortillas with lettuce, tomato and onion and cheese. So a very fancy meal for me out here. I've just been waiting for the sun to go down sufficiently so the flies start to go home. So I'll start washing these vegetables, get the onion cut up and get this mince cooking in the pan. The mince is just about cooked through, so I add in the flavouring. I think she's just about finished now, ready to eat. Okay, everything's set up, ready to go. Beautiful meal in the bush. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Visit my website roamingtheoutback.com for Australian travel destinations, vehicle preparation ideas and gear reviews. If you'd like to help support the creation of new videos, please consider becoming a Patreon. Click on the Patreon button on the screen now. Thanks.